So we begin this evening on a very auspicious note. We have with us this evening young students from the SIS Sri Chandrasekhara Kendra Saraswati Veda Vidyapeeth. It's a Vedic school in Navi Mumbai that combines modern education with Vedic studies. It provides young students a strong bond with their Indian roots in keeping with a tradition that dates back centuries alive. The presentation today will showcase exemplary students from this school reciting chants from the Yajurved, Samaved and Rigved. I mentioned here some translations of the verses being recited today. One of the prayers have been offered to the fire god by the sages. A demand has been made by the Agni Dev to achieve his desired and meaningful life for all the gentlemen. In another one, which is a dedication to Lord Shiva, the many forms of Lord Shiva have been described and praised. And I will praise him. Special prayers have been offered here. And for the welfare of mankind, so says the chant. With this, I give it over to our young troupe to begin this evening.
कवीनामुपवश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पदकानशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धेनामवित्र्यवतु। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां निधये भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। संसमिद्यो वसे वृषन्नग्ने विश्वान्यर्यः। इडस्पदे समिध्यसे सनो वसोऽन्याभार। संगच्छध्वं संवादध्वं संवो मनांसि जानताम्। देवा भागं यथा पूर्वे सञ्जानाना उपासाते। समानो मन्त्रः समेतिः समानी समानं मनः सह चित्तमेषाम्। समानं मन्त्रमभिमन्त्रयेव समानी नावो हविषा जुहोमि। समानी वाकोतिः समाना हृदयानि वः। समानमस्तु वो मनो यथा वस्सु सहासाति। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रावा स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः। स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। वृषादश्वा मरुतः पृश्ने मातरश्व मह्या वानो विदधेषु जग्मायः। अग्निजिह्वा मनावः सूरा चक्षसो विश्वे नो देवा अवसागामन्यः। भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः। स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवां सस्तनोभिर्व्यासेम देवहीतं यदायुः। तनूनाम् पुत्रासो यत्र पितरो भवन्ति मानो मध्यारीर्षदायुर्गन्तोः अदितिर्जौरदितिरन्तरिक्षमदितिर्माता स पिता स पुत्रः विश्वे देवा अदितिः पञ्चजना अदितिर्जातमदितिर्जनित्वम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ
I think perhaps we can keep the applause going for the young troupe. Of course, they have now led us to the beginning of the program. May I now ask some of you to light the inaugural lamp this evening and open the show. Our guest of honor, Shri Vikas Kharge ji, please. Our special guest, Srimati Mugdha Sinha ji, Mr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee, Dr. Joan Weinstein, Mr. Neil McGregor, Professor Dr. Herman Patsinger, Dr. Carl Heron, Dr. Manjari Kamath, can you please join us? Ms. Mahrukh Tarapur, Dr. Thorsten Opper, Mrs. Vandana Prapanna, Ms. Nilanjana Som. Joining us shortly is also Mr. Ashu Khullar, our special guest, and Ms. Jyoti Roy. Mrs. Manisha Nene, may I please request your presence up here? Jyoti, please join us. And yes, of course, we have Mr. Ashu Khullar. Nilanjana, please join us as well. As you can see, it has taken an army to put this together. wonderful way to begin a December evening. The winters in Mumbai. The winters, so I say. May I now request the dignitaries to join us on the dais. Our guest of honor, Shri Vikas Kharge Sahib, Principal Secretary to the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra and Principal Secretary, Cultural Affairs. Thank you, sir, for being with us. We just heard this morning that the Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, Shri Govind Mohanji is unable to join us due to some exigencies, but he has been so kind to depute Shri Mugdha Sinhaji, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, who's also a friend of the CSMVS, to join us today. Mugdha ji, may I please request you to take the dais? Mugdha ji, we're grateful to have you here. Dr. Joan Weinstein, the director of the Getty Foundation, who's given us so much time today. Thank you. And of course, our mentor, Mr. Neil McGregor, art historian and scholar, advisor to the project. It's so exciting to have you here, Professor Dr. Herman Patzinger, who's the president of the Prussian Cultural Foundation. And Dr. Carl Herren, the Deputy Director of the British Museum. It's so lovely to have you here. And of course, our dear director, Mr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee. So before you take your seat, may I request you to please felicitate our dignitaries? A little token of appreciation for our guest of honor, Shri Vikas Kharge ji. Srimati Mugdha Sinha ji. Dr. Joan Weinstein. Mr. Neil McGregor. Dr. Herman Patzinger. Dr. Carl Herren. Mr. Mukherjee, may I request you to felicitate our special guest, Mr. Ashu Khullar, CEO of City India. who's here with us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, now I'm going to go away and let you hear from the people who made all of this happen. Mr. Mukherjee, may I please request you to share your thoughts with us and deliver the welcome address this evening.
Good evening. This is a very special occasion for all of us, and we all assembled here to celebrate. Honorable guest of honor, Sri Vikas Kharge, Principal Secretary to the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra and Principal Secretary Cultural Affairs, Mrs. Mugdha Sinha, Joint Secretary, Representing Secretary, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, Dr. John Weinstein, Director, Getty Foundation, Professor Dr. Hermann Perzinger, Prussian Cultural Heritage Foundation, Germany, Dr. Karl Heron, Deputy Director, the British Museum, Mr. Neil McGregor, Advisor to the project, Mr. Ashu Khullar, CEO, City, Dr. Andreas Roll, Director, State Museums of Berlin, Dr. Johannes Belch, Deputy Director, Rydberg Museum, Zurich, the Consul General of USA, Germany, and other countries, Dr. Neil Spencer, and experts from source countries. They are at present, they are here. Thank you for coming. Dignitaries, international guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, the British Museum, the State Museums, Berlin, and the J. Paul Getty Museum, I extend a warm welcome to everyone. The Ancient World Project is a unique international and educational initiative organized by CSMVS and its partners, to whom I am most grateful. In an act of extraordinary generosity, our international colleagues have allowed great works of art from their collections to remain at the CSMVS for almost 1 year, from December 2023 to October 2024. We extend our gratitude also to the Government of India and Government of Maharashtra for their support. Phase 1 of the Ancient World Gallery project is opening today with the title Ancient Sculptures, India, Egypt, Assyria, Greece, Rome. And I'm happy to announce that this ambitious collaboration will culminate in the opening of a permanent Ancient World Gallery in this museum in early 2025, with well over 100 loans from London and Berlin. And we hope some other partners join in future. Before I proceed further, we would like to invite our curators of this project. If they are here, I want them to be in front of the stage. Jayati Roy, the lead curator, Nilanjana Som, Vaidehi, Divya, Renuka, as well our curatorial partners from the British Museum, Dr. Thorsten Opper, Marcel Marie, Dr. Paul Collins, Professor Dr. Andreas Cole. If they're here, if you can stand up and raise your hand, we'll be happy. Dr. David Saunders from the J. Paul Getty Museum, he is absent, for their painstaking research and for undertaking the responsibility of writing this wonderful book, that you will find both interesting and informative. We are going to launch very soon. They deserve another round of applause. I would also like to thank the curators and designers of the Indian section, Bandana Prapanna, Aparna, Minalini, Siddharth, and Pratik. If they are here, I'll be very happy if you can come and stand in front of the stage. When you enter into the museum rotunda, you find that entire space transformed. And that entire space transformed because of them. Thank you. The conceptualization process began immediately after the completion of the path-breaking exhibition, India and the World, A History in 9 Stories, that opened at the CSMVS in November 2017 and traveled to the National Museum, New Delhi in May 2018. The exhibition endorsed that cooperation and consultation with colleagues and institutions of similar interest can produce a unique learning experience. The present exhibition is the outcome of a joint conversation with our Getty colleagues Neil McGregor, Maruk Tarapur, in the first half of 2020. It is interesting to record now that a creative thinking process and the strong desire to do something together could not be deterred or not stopped even when COVID led us into one of the darkest moments of human history. The core idea behind this project from the very beginning was to understand India's position in the ancient world. As we shaped the Ancient World Project, many ancient ideas revolving around subjects such as war, kingship, state, religion, society, creativity, and innovation prompted us to ask 2 important questions. What is the relevance of the ancient world to our world today, and more particularly to contemporary India? How do we initiate a new conversation between the ancient and contemporary worlds that might help us to create a better world? After all, we now live in a digital age where access to information is sourced from around the world practically in no time at all. This development was unimaginable even a few decades ago. So the question arises, can ancient history continue to play a significant role in the progression of human knowledge and the future? Studying the history of the ancient world allows us to understand where we have come from and why we are here. And by exploring deeply this question, we develop a huge respect for our ancestors and the past, knowing about how they dealt with multiple social, political, cultural, economic, and even climate-related issues. Such critical questions can surely help us recognize and be prepared for dealing with many of our contemporary issues and possibly even with problems in the very uncertain future that our own world faces today. The present exhibition will explore traditions that shaped ancient cultures, many of which continue to dominate aspects of society today, such as the role of nature in human lives, the divine form, concepts of beauty, and so on, displayed besides the museum's Indian collections. The visiting sculptures demonstrate the interconnectedness of the ancient world and the extraordinary longevity of India's cultural traditions. Young Indian visitors will explore India's centuries-old unbroken cultural traditions and diversity of ideas and cultures, both from within and outside the subcontinent, underscoring thousands of years of cultural exchange. more than 65% of India's vast population is under the age of 30. For decades, school, children and university students in India have learned about ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, Greece and Rome, but until now, they have not been able to study at first hand any of the great works of art that these civilizations produced. We see the exhibition as a unique and important educational endeavor that provides our Indian audiences and children with new ways of viewing their own culture as a result of seeing it in relation to other societies and geographies. This unprecedented sharing of collections could not have happened without the inspired generosity of the J. Paul Getty Trust under its president, Catherine Fleming, and the dear friend, Dr. John Weinstein, and the idealism and energetic encouragement of their predecessor, Jim Kuno. Jim Kuno was very much involved in this project in the beginning. For additional support, as always, when we need any help, any support, we bother Mr. Ashok Khullar, CEO, City. So similarly, this time, we had a little crisis and we approached him. And as usual, he said, oh, not a problem. We are there to support. So we are grateful to Mr. Ashok Khullar, the CEO of City, supporting our education program. City is supporting largely museum education program and extension services, including the conservation project. Thank you, Ashok. Thank you so much. We are profoundly grateful to the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, Sri Govind Mohanji, Secretary, Mrs. Mugdha Sinha, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you for coming. And I know how many times, we bothered. I met you, and you always said, we are there. We will give you all permissions. So whenever we needed any permissions, he was there to support and clear all our papers. High Commissioner of India to the UK, Sri Bikram Dorai Swami, and our late chairman. Many of you know, just 2 weeks ago, we lost our chairman. And he was monitoring this project very closely. And I can't imagine his absence. So our late chairman, Sri Eknath Shirsagar, I'm very happy Mrs. Shirsagar is here. Trustees of the CSMVS, another dear friend who was involved in this project, guiding us. We lost him just a few days ago. The late art historian, Dr. B.N. Goswami. He was guiding us over the phone. He was inquiring about this project. Trustees of the J. Paul Getty Trust, Professor Dr. Herman Persinger, President of the Prussian Cultural Foundation, Chairman George Osborne, and trustees of the British Museum, Dr. John Weinstein, Director of the Getty Foundation, Dr. Timothy Potts, Director of the J. Paul Getty Museum, Professor Dr. Andreas Scholl, Director, State Museums, Berlin, Sir Mark Jones, Interim Director of the British Museum, Dr. Carl Heron, Deputy Director, the British Museum, Dr. Buddha Rashmi Mani, Director General of National Museum, New Delhi, Mr. Anjani Kumar Singh, Director General of Bihar Museum, Patna, Srimati Urmila Shukla, Commissioner of Directorate of Archaeology, Archives and Museums, Government of Madhya Pradesh, and the entire CSR team of City India for their unstinted support. We express our gratitude to Mr. Neil McGregor, Maruk Tarapur, and Dr. Jyotindra Jain for their continued and deep association with this project, especially to dear Neil for also agreeing to pen the introduction to this booklet, which we are going to launch very soon. And to our dear friend, He is not here, but he has sent his thank you note, Dr. James Kuno and Dr. Hartwig Fischer, the former director of the British Museum, for their support and friendship, and to several friends and colleagues at our partner institutions who have helped us. I would like to thank the exhibition designer, Mr. Arun Das, the lighting designer, Dhruvajyoti Ghosh, and the conservation consultant, Mr. Binod Daniel, for their involvement in this project. Finally, credit is due to the CSMVS team, the entire CSMVS staff, especially my colleagues Shiv Prasad Kheneth, the former director of Nehru Science Museum, Manisha Nene, the director collection management, Bandana Praparna, senior curator, Ajay Kochle, assistant director administration, and Bhavdat Patel, senior administrative officer, and the entire exhibition team, conservation team, and education team. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukherjee, for presenting the full scope of the exhibition and the work that has gone into putting this together. But to explain a little bit about the what and the why, may I now invite Mr. Neil McGregor to give us his address this evening.
I should like to begin by thanking the trustees, the director, and all the colleagues of the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya for inviting me, for allowing me to be part of this great project. As you all know, India has a great tradition of hospitality to strangers. I've been the beneficiary of that hospitality many times. But under the rotunda of this great museum this evening, you will see the newest guests in India. And they too have been received royally, entertained and made welcome as they have never been before. And like most visitors from Europe and America to India, they're already looking a great deal happier than they did at home. And this is not just because of the lighting. They are thrilled to find themselves not just in this building, but in totally new company, because they are part of a large space, which you'll see, which embraces not only the sculptures of ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome, but also of ancient India, and showing how the two worlds of the Mediterranean and India are connected. That's the basis of the project, which, as Mr. Mukherjee said, began in conversations nearly 4 years ago now with Jim Kuno, then president of the Getty Foundation, and has been supported with incomparable generosity by the current president, Catherine Fleming. It's been possible because of friendship between the museums, partnership and trust between the four museums in a way that's very rare in the museum world. And it's brought together these statues. But they're here for a purpose, not just to enjoy being in India. They're here to allow the young people of India, those 750 million people that Mr. Mukherjee spoke of, to think again about their place in the world and India's place in the world in the ancient past and today, the world of which they will be citizens. And it seemed to us very important that they should address that culture through original objects. Many of those young students will not be able to travel to Europe or to America to look at these objects. That's why it was important that they should come here, so that they can spend time, in this case nearly a year, looking at great works of art from those other cultures, looking at them and studying them. That would already be a fairly straightforward thing to do. But what has happened in this project has been something else. The history of the Mediterranean cultures has been written very largely by Europeans and Americans, looking at the Mediterranean and then beyond to India. Here, you'll see something quite different. The starting point is India. It's from India that the visitor will now look at the Mediterranean. In the middle of the gods of Egypt, Greece, and Rome stands the monumental Varaha. And that is the key to what we were trying to do, to start in India, with Indian ideas, with Indian expectations, and look at the achievements of Greece, Rome, Egypt, and see how those worlds are connected, how they exchanged, how they thought about each other, but also how they were trying to do in many ways the same thing. And one of the great pleasures of this exhibition has been, I think it's fair to say, that all of us involved have begun to think differently about our own traditions. We see differently how the Mediterranean looks from here, and I think it's also fair to say, in the way that Vandana has reorganized the Indian Sculpture Gallery, that the Indian sculptures are beginning to be thinking them a little differently about themselves in the context of the guests. Whenever guests come to stay, both the guests and the hosts are changed, and I think that's already happening here. The remarkable thing, as you probably have noticed, about the team at the CSMVS is that the curators here have all been women. All of them. It is a very remarkable fact. And you'll have noticed the sad truth that the representatives of the other museums are all old white men. But the team in the CSMVS has been absolutely remarkable. As you have heard, it's been Divya, Joyati, Nilanjana, Renuka, and Vaidehi. And it reminded me of an account, famous account, by a European visitor to an Indian court in the 18th century. And he said that living in an Indian court was like living in a cage of nightingales, where everything sang in harmony. Well, these 5 nightingales have sung in harmony for nearly 4 years, to the most great effect. And you will not be surprised to know that, of course, any chorus needs a chorus master. And the chorus mistress of the Nightingales has been Maruk Tarapur. And I think we all owe her to a great debt of thanks. I would like to end on repeating the fact that this project, which is about education in an institution that has a great reputation for education, has allowed us all to think differently about ourselves, to reassess the way we think about our history, the way we think about ourselves, but above all, to reaffirm that that history and that present is one of interconnectedness and one that we can approach in a spirit of friendship and of partnership. Thank you very much, Mr. Mukherjee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. We're going to remember that metaphor. May I now invite Dr. Joan Weinstein from the Getty to tell us a little bit about what she felt through the course of this challenging project.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful evening and what a magical setting. I have to say I'm overwhelmed with emotion being here tonight. It is an absolute pleasure to represent the Getty here and to celebrate 2 major accomplishments, an extraordinary exhibition and an unusual and unprecedented partnership of all these museums working together, reimagining what international cooperation and collaboration for museums can look like in a very different way. But first, I just have to tell you what I felt yesterday when I walked into the rotunda and I saw those sculptures surrounding me. Standing amidst those breathtaking works of art, it was hard not to feel the tangible echoes of ancient civilizations and the belief systems that went with them. The sculptures are so beautifully installed that I had the feeling they were already speaking to one another. They were having a conversation. And it's a bridge that connects us both with the past, but inspires us to join that conversation, to talk about our own values, our own beliefs, and most importantly, our own interconnectedness in this world. In short, the exhibition serves as a testament to the enduring power of art to illuminate our shared humanity, and it's a very special moment when you walk in there. I realize that some of you may know nothing about the Getty Trust, so I'm going to take just a moment to tell you about our complex institution. We have a wonderful museum that has exceptional collections of ancient Greek and Roman art. We have a research institute that's devoted to scholarship in the history of art. We have a conservation institute represented here today by the director, Tim Whalen, that is involved in conservation of art, architecture, and archaeological sites, and has been for years. And the foundation, which I represent, the philanthropic arm of the Getty. We do many things in Los Angeles and around the world, from supporting art history in Brazil and Argentina and Colombia, to conserving modern architecture internationally, including here in India. But I think there are two things that have been true since our inception and that have been constant. We have always been committed to the study, preservation, and presentation of the art of the ancient world, and to exploring cultural interactions in the ancient world. The Getty also has a long and proud history working with CSMVS. And if you notice, I said there were two things that we've done from the inception. I'm going to wait a moment for the second one. We had the opportunity to partner with the British Museum and CSMVS on India and the world, a history in 9 stories. And it was a revelatory moment for me of a new way that we could work together. We are now so honored to be both a partner and a sponsor of ancient sculptures. And this brings me to the other thing that the Getty has been committed to since its inception. And that has been that we are really intent in connecting professionals, curators, conservators, art historians, across borders, across regional boundaries, to interact with one another. Because the story of art has to be told not just from the perspective of Europe and North America, but to bring in other voices that are actually changing the discipline and changing what we show in our museums. This is one of the reasons we are so excited about this project, which will continue to the next phase. And it's also very important to us, the amazing educational programs that are going to be included, including university teaching, which will bring in scholars that are experts in these source countries. I want to express my own gratitude to some of the partners. There are so many thank yous that I will keep it very short. I just want to acknowledge our partnership with the British Museum and with the Stiftung Preußischer Kulturbesitz that have been amazing throughout. I also want to give special recognition to Mr. Neil McGregor and Mr. Mukherjee for their wisdom, for their guidance, for their patience, for their utter charm, which saved so many situations, and for their friendship. But I think there's a third musketeer that goes with them who's not here tonight, and that is James Cuno, the former president of the J. Paul Getty Trust, who this was a passion project for him, and he was deeply involved in it until his retirement. Catherine Fleming, the Getty's new president and CEO, gave her support to this project the moment she arrived. And she sends her warmest wishes to everyone, and she hopes to come in the new year to be able to see it. And I also need to give regards from Tim Potts, the director of the Getty Museum, who is also so sorry that he couldn't be here. And they are missing out on what is a magical experience. And finally, I want to echo all those compliments for the amazing group of young women, the curators, the educators, who, they are amazing. We have learned so much from them. Today, I saw the sculptures I thought I knew well in a completely new light that made me rethink the way I actually look and see works of art. If everyone, if they could be the directors of every museum in India, it would be the brightest future I can imagine. They are extraordinary. So final thank you to the trustees of CSMVS, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weinstein. You've set us up for a very tall order. May I now invite Dr. Carl Heron from the British Museum to please share his thoughts this evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be here. I'm representing the trustees of the British Museum and the interim director, Sir Mark Jones, who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening. Today is the culmination of over a decade of long and close partnership with CSMVS. For the British Museum, this project is another important milestone in our long-standing partnership with you in Mumbai. It follows on from Mummy, the Inside Story in 2012, the Cyrus Cylinder and Ancient Persia in 2013, and the groundbreaking India and the World in 2017. The trustees of the British Museum aim to share the collection as widely as possible for the benefit of audiences worldwide, and there's no better place than to share it with the collections here in Mumbai and with the partners involved in this project. We're delighted to lend 6 objects currently to the exhibition, among them fragments from 2 of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And we are delighted to support your Ancient World Gallery project. There are many people to thank, Dr. Mukherjee and his wonderful team, for devising such an important and innovative project and establishing this wonderful educational program. This is my first visit to India. I arrived 2 days ago, and within hours I was being taken on a speedboat to Alibag, which is a wonderful experience, somewhat jet-lagged, but it was amazing. And if you look over to my left, behind you to your right, is a wonderful blue bus, and it's called the Museum on Wheels. And an expert team of CSMVS colleagues, curators, and so on were guiding a group of 60 to 70 school children through the ancient world, helping them to make the connections. It was an absolutely stunning experience, and it was a real privilege to be involved. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. Thank you also to the Getty Foundation for their commitment and support for this magnificent project, and to City and the Indian government's Ministry of Culture. Professor Catherine Fleming's leadership in funding the project through the Getty's collection sharing program has brought us all together, and you've heard some of the benefits and opportunities from that. I would like to thank Neil McGregor, who initiated our relationship with CSMVS when he was director of the British Museum. Thank you to all of the curatorial teams involved. My colleague Torsten Opper from the Museums Department of Greece and Rome has been a passionate advocate within the British Museum for the work that he's done. And I absolutely applaud his commitment for this project, and it will go on. This is a sustainable and meaningful relationship that can continue long into the future. And I do thank Hartwig Fischer, who stood down recently as the director of the British Museum, is also incredibly keen to maintain these long-standing partnerships. I won't say anything about the objects from the British Museum in the gallery behind us. That they look so wonderful. Just enjoy them when you visit them yourselves. I do hope the objects will be in constant dialogue with religious sculptures from India, for which the CSMVS collections are renowned. And through the educational opportunities, young people in India can explore the relevance and the resonance of the ancient world for their lives today and for the future. Looking ahead to the next phase of our partnership, the trustees are delighted to lend more than 70 objects spanning ancient cultures from China to the Americas. And these objects bear testimony to over 10,000 years of human history, creating new opportunities for learning and dialogue. At the British Museum, we will implement many of the ideas jointly generated in Mumbai in our own forthcoming exhibition on ancient India and sculpture in London. And I'm delighted to say that the exhibition curator, the lead curator, Shushma Jansari, is here in Mumbai and in discussions with CSMVS and other museums in India about how to make the best possible exhibition opportunity for all in London. I hope that the curators in Mumbai will contribute to the future display of the British Museum. That's a serious proposal. We need to work together. We need co-curation of collections in museums for the future to bring our world together and to make it a smaller and more accessible place. Thank you again for the wonderful welcome I've received here. Thank you.
Dr. Heron, thank you so much. It's been such a journey reimagining and reliving our relationship with the British Museum. Thank you. And I now call upon Dr. Herman Patzinger to share his thoughts with us this evening. Doctor, please.
Dear Mr. Mukherjee, Excellencies, colleagues, friends, what an evening, what a day. It's my first day as my colleague from the British Museum. It's my first day in India, not only my first day in Mumbai, my first day in India. I'm a little bit ashamed, but I have to admit that. And yet, of course, I had expectations. I had high expectations what India is. And wow, what I saw, what I felt, what I lived today overcame these expectations a lot. So for me, it's really an unforgettable evening, an unforgettable day, an unforgettable stay here for a few days in India, in Mumbai, and this is simply great. Of course, this work, well, almost everything which has been said, I had to repeat. I would like to repeat, but I would try not to repeat too much of that, what has been said. But it's very clear that this project was not that easy, as we thought from the beginning. It's not that easy to move these gods, these Mediterranean gods, to India, to be for a long-term loan in the neighborhood of their Indian friends, where they really, they get happy, as Neil McGregor said. They got happy. You see the happiness in their faces, these new surroundings. But of course, there have been many obstacles, legal ones, administrational ones. It was an enormous, and again, thank you so much to the Getty, because it was, Joan, it was not only the financial support, the organizational support, it was also an intellectual support. I mean, this was the idea, together with Neil McGregor, sharing collection. This program, this is something which universal museums need for the future. This is a kind of cooperation which we all need, sharing the collections. We know the history of collections is complicated, goes back to the 19th, 18th century, but we have to look into the future. We have to have cooperations, co-curatorial, but global co-curatorial cooperations. And in only this, in the Rotunda, it's not such a big exhibition, but it's a fantastic, so profoundly, so well thought, how all the artworks are positioned. You will see, when take your time to look at the setting, it's marvelous, it's marvelous. And I mean, thanks to a cooperation of curators from North America, from Britain, from Germany, and this wonderful, already mentioned, ladies curatorial team here in Mumbai. I will come back to them in a few minutes. This is a way of cooperation which we need for the future. And of course, bringing this Mediterranean and Near Eastern goddess here to India, of course, it's not only bring things together, and asked the visitors and ourselves before, of course, how did they influence each other? I think this is important because, of course, the ancient civilization, they knew about India, I mean, about art and architecture, philosophy, literature. This has been well known beyond the Mediterranean world. And the Greek historian Herodotus wrote in the 5th century BC a very colorful picture about India. Also, he never traveled to India. So there has been some knowledge. And of course, you know, Alexander the Great and his Macedonian army They made it up to the Indus River and those northwestern India. And what they left behind, even centuries later, this tradition, this artistic tradition of the wonderful syncretistic Gandhara art. So there are a lot of connections between these worlds always. But when I look today at the Rotunda, and I always thought that at the beginning I understood the concept and the potential of the exhibition. But after listening to the explanations of the Mumbai, this wonderful lady curatorial team, I learned so much. I learned new perspectives, not only on the Indian art, which I admit freely, I do not know so much about it, but even on the European, on this Mediterranean art. And I think this is so important and shows the full potential of this kind of cooperations, exchanging perspectives, exchanging experiences, exchanging backgrounds of knowledge. This is what brings us further, and we can learn so much from you here in Mumbai. And I mean, this is the key of a fruitful cooperation. Of course, the Prussian Cultural Heritage Foundation, a little bit complicated name, but it's by far the largest cultural institution in Germany. It includes 19 National Museum of Berlin with outstanding collections from prehistory to contemporary art. The National Library of Berlin, 12 millions of volumes, the largest scientific universal library in the whole German-speaking world. The National Archive of Prussia, 38 kilometers of document of Prussian and early German history, and other research institutes. So it's a network of institutions, and for us cooperation is very important. And the Berlin collection of antiquities, the head, the director is Andreas Scholl, you saw him already, is among the 4, 5, 6 outstanding collections for Greek and Roman antiquities worldwide. Of course, due to a long history of more than 3 centuries of collecting, but also, especially in the 19th and beginning of the 20th century, not only purchasing works of art from the Greek and Roman world, but also important and still ongoing excavation expeditions to Pergamon, to Olympia, to Priene, to Miletus, to Didyma, and many other places. And of course, pieces of architecture, friezes, but also jewelry, vases, and other objects by sharing the collections at that time, before the First World War was possible, came to these collections. And it's important to share it. It's an enormous potential. And again, I also want to give emphasis to the fact that this is only the first phase. It's an excellent first phase, but we want to expand. And I think this sharing collection, Neil and Joan, this is a program which we should expand worldwide in a way. And expand the second phase here in Mumbai. And we, Berlin, we are with you all, to make this happen. And let me end with one thing. We are in the year 2023, 75 years of independence of India. We should give you a gift. Of course, these loans are a small, a tiny gift, but your gift is your friendship, which I lived the first day today here. Your gift is your friendship, Mr. Mukherjee and all your colleagues, and that you opened, and thanks to the fabulous lady curatorial team, they opened at least me, as a European, a new perspective on European art of antiquity. And this is an enormous gift. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Patzinger. I think you really spoke to all of us in a way that has made us reflective and really reimagining how we do things here and everywhere else. So thank you so much. May I request Srimati Mugdha Sinha ji to address the audience on behalf of the Ministry of Culture. Mugdha ji, please.
Namaskar and a very good evening. I am tempted to take a moment and savor in this delight of being here and to thank everybody for this, for the gods, the Indian and the Mediterranean gods coming together and bringing along with them this huge global collaboration. A big congratulations to Dr. Mukherjee and to everybody up here on the stage for bringing this together and enabling us to be a part of this celebration. I am here to represent my secretary, who unfortunately could not make it because of a cabinet meeting at the same time. So I carry his greetings along with the greetings of the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and I will now read his address. Shri Vikas Khargeji, Principal Secretary to Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Trustees of the CSMVS Museum, Shri Sabyasachi Mukherjee ji, Director General, Mr. Neil McGregor, eminent historian and advisor to the Getty's Sharing Collections Program, Dr. John Weinstein, Director, the Getty Foundation, Dr. Herman Parzinger, Director of the Prussian Cultural Center, Dr. Karl Heron, Deputy Director of the British Museum, Sri Ashu Khullar, CEO City, India, dignitaries and philanthropists in the audience today, and my dear friends. I am pleased to be invited to inaugurate this transcontinental collaborative project and its first exhibition, Ancient Sculptures, India, Egypt, Assyria, Greece, Rome. The occasion is doubly special as we stand in the foreground of a grand heritage building, which is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Precinct and has recently been bestowed the highest award of excellence for conservation by UNESCO. CSMVS, where the echoes of antiquity reverberate in some of the best-known exhibitions it has hosted, it is very heartening to see international tales of empires, gods, and the human spirit, which I understand have been captured in this unique exhibition that has emerged to illuminate the diverse realms of ancient civilizations. The exhibition, aptly titled Ancient Sculptures, India, Egypt, Assyria, Greece, Rome, is a testament to the collaborative efforts of esteemed museums, the State Museums of Berlin, the British Museum, and the Getty Museum to bring together an extraordinary set of sculptures that transcend both time and geography. I remember that in 2017, my ministry, the Ministry of Culture, had also supported the CSMVS in organizing an international project, India and the World, A History in 9 Stories, which was a part of the commemoration of the 70 years of India's independence. Therefore, when in 2022, Mr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee wrote to us to request for our collaborations, we were very happy to endorse this unique initiative, and we recommended that this be organized under the umbrella of the continuing celebrations of the 75 years of India's independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. My ministry is dedicated to supporting the cause of the preservation and dissemination of culture, and projects such as this one, which are perfect examples of how art, culture, and museums can play a vital role in education and enlightening of the young minds. In fact, it is with this intention that the ministry had organized a mega International Museum Expo in New Delhi in May 2023. India has a long and rich cultural heritage, and its spirit of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, first emulated in the Upanishads, is most unique in world philosophy, more so in the current context of the conflicts that we see around us. It has the power to draw in natures, cultures, and communities of the world under one umbrella so that they can celebrate each other and think about each other's well-beings. Our Honorable Prime Minister has given the call for Vasudeva Kutumbakam, an initiative in the modern globalized world to encourage a feeling of one family and one future and solidarity among the peoples of the world. In this context, the ancient world and this exhibition, which I am so happy to inaugurate, is very important. Unlike the world today, which is separated by strong boundaries, the ancient world was probably more fluid. It allowed exchange and exploration. Some of these exchanges and explorations created diplomatic ties between different parts of the world, which the modern world needs to know about and appreciate. I am happy that this exhibition, through the medium of sculptures and art, will bring alive the connections of the past, which provide a strong lesson in the spirit of exchange, understanding, and acceptance for today's youth. I congratulate and thank the Getty, a world leader in cultural philanthropy, for coming to India to complement our efforts to work with museums. I also thank the partner museums, the State Museums of Berlin, with whom this is the first partnership of lending important antiquities, the British Museum, which has a long-standing partnership with many Indian museums, and the J. Paul Getty Museum for lending objects to this exhibition. I am particularly pleased that our Indian museums, the National Museum and the Bihar Museum, and more importantly, the District Museum of Vidisha in a remote town near Bhopal, have also lent one of their masterpieces to this endeavor. This kind of global, local collaboration should be encouraged and celebrated. I am also told that this project has a strong educational side. Several university collaborations will enable teachers and professors to introduce original objects of art in classroom teaching, and this indeed is very commendable, and I'm waiting to see results flowing out of this. I thank and congratulate my colleagues from embassies and consulates for wholeheartedly supporting this experiment. I also thank the Departments of Foreign Trade and Customs for extending the support and advice to the project. The Ministry of Culture and the Indian Museum fraternity are very proud of the work that CSMVS does. Many of its educational endeavors, particularly the City CMVS Museum on Wheels, which we had invited also to our International Museum Expo in May this year, is one of the most successful models of taking knowledge and heritage into rural India, where a majority of young Indians are growing up. I am glad that this museum thinks to serve people beyond its urban location. I congratulate the museum and city for partnering on this initiative and running it successfully for so many years. I do hope that in the next several months, the exhibition will be on view. Thousands of young people will see it, learn from it, and reflect on it. I, myself, look forward to seeing it. With that, I declare this exhibition open and invite Mumbai, India, and the world to come and immerse in it. I am told that the first phase, which opens with this exhibition, will culminate in an ancient worlds gallery at the CNVS in the coming years. I wish all organizers the best for this initiative. Jai Hind, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mugdha ji. Thank you so much to the Secretary. And of course, now that the exhibition has been declared open, may I have the exhibition books up on stage, please? We're thrilled to release the booklet guide to the exhibition, co-authored by its multiple co-curators and guided, of course, by the people here on the dais. Mugdha ji, may I please request you? Vikas Kharge Sahib, Dr. Joan Weinstein, Mr. McGregor, Dr. Patsinger, Dr. Heron, Mr. Mukherjee. Thank you so much. May I now request our guest of honor, Shri Vikas Kharge Sahib, to please deliver his address this evening. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and art enthusiasts. Today we celebrate the timeless thread of connection weaving through the tapestry of human history. Across continents, our ancestors not only engaged in trade, but also extend intangible treasure of ideas, philosophy, and spirituality. I am thrilled to witness the culmination of this universal connection in the form of this exhibition. Ancient Sculptures, India, Egypt, Assyria, Greece and Rome. This exhibition, I was told, showcases 20 remarkable sculptures representing a diverse array of sculpture and sharing varied tales. The collection including images of Lord Buddha, Yajnavaraha, Zeus, Apollo is impressive. And I'm sure that it will present a visual treat to art lovers and benefits every visitor to see glimpses of global ancient spirituality for a period of, I was told, 10 months till October 2024. Congratulations to CSMVS for curating this exhibition in collaboration with esteemed international partners, the British Museum London, the Staatliche Museum Berlin, J. Paul Getty Museum Los Angeles, along with national partners, the National Museum New Delhi, the Indian Museum Kolkata, Directorate of Archaeology Museum Madhya Pradesh, Vidisha District Museum Madhya Pradesh and Bihar Museum Patna. I believe sculptures are living storytellers that capture the essence of cultures and history through art, immortalizing moments and individuals. Beyond conservation, preserving sculptures is a commitment to safeguarding cultural identity, enriching public spaces with landmarks that weave together aesthetic and historical narratives. These tangible artifacts serve as links to our roots, contributing to a shared human experience by telling stories, celebrating diversity, and shaping our journey forward. Moreover, sculptures act as a cultural ambassador on a global scale, fostering international connections and diplomatic ties through artistic collaboration and exhibition. As a Principal Secretary to Chief Minister of Maharashtra and also Principal Secretary of Cultural Affairs Department, Government of Maharashtra, and also a trustee of CSMVS, I stand here with pride. The Government of Maharashtra via the Directorate of Archaeology, we preserve the cultural heritage focusing on sculptures. Notable sculptures in Maharashtra include various styles and periods such as Poseidon from Kolhapur, terracotta sculptures from Ter and Paitan, Narsimha from Nagardhan, Aund style sculptures of Vishnu and Rambha from Aurangabad, and Arkshuya Pitama from Gadchiroli. The Department of Culture Maharashtra contributing to the exhibitions like Tree and Serpent on early Buddhist art at the Metropolitan Museum, New York, reinforces our commitment to cultural exchange. Notably, the sculpture from excavation of Brahmapuri in Kolhapur region, including a Roman Poseidon, are showcased in New York. We hope to participate more in such cultural exchange program with antiquarian wealth of 50,000 artifacts in 13 museums across the state of Maharashtra. Here I am happy to mention that recently we signed MOU with Victoria and Albert Museum, London, to loan the tiger claws related to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj for an exclusive exhibition in Maharashtra. And that exhibition will be at 4 places, Kolhapur, Satara, Nagpur, and this year's MVS also. Once again, my heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee and the curatorial team for seamlessly bringing together this association of ancient art across borders. I extend my best wishes for the success of this exhibition. Thank you so much.
We would now like to invite one of our well-wishers and long-standing supporters, Mr. Ashu Khullar, CEO of City India, to take the dais and share your thoughts.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it's a glorious evening, and I think it's so glorious and great setting that I'm minded to forget about the AQI levels and the pollution levels. But I think today is a very special day for City and CSMVS. I think this is an extraordinary milestone from our perspective. I think we always do, I think, the easier work of trying to support it through our CSR funds, but the hard work is obviously done by the vision of all the incredible people on the stage here and the, and the wonderful list of the lady curators which we saw earlier. So I think for us it's a great honor that we continue what is now an 8-year-old partnership with CSMVS. It's really been the two projects which we heard about. Well, we heard about the Museum on Wheels, which is about taking the art to the people. And in a country like India, I guess it's even more important than, given the access which it creates. And it was wonderful to have heard about the trip to Alibag. I think the second one, which we haven't talked about, but which is also very important and we're proud of, is Conserve Art, which is designed to be a long-term initiative to spearhead the art conservation practice in India, and making sure that we continue to preserve for the future generations what is, obviously incredible cultural heritage of the country. It's, I think, a common vision of sharing best practices globally that City and CSMVS are proud CSR partners, having brought together through this exhibition sculptures from international and national museums through Mumbai, through a once-in-a-lifetime exhibition capturing 3,000 years through time and civilization. The magic of this entire project is in collaboration and shared experience that has gone into the entire project, from conceptualization to curation and beyond. And I think we're all hopefully soon going to get privy to the wonderful exhibition. I think again it's wonderful that this is part of the Government of India's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The project is a result of the transcontinental education collaboration between global institutions, which are all represented here, both from abroad and from India. And I think what I'd say is, I think for us as the most global bank, I think having a global project like this embodies what I think we'd like to support and we're very proud of. And I think in the end, I'd just like to thank the Director General, Dr. Mukherjee, I think, for all the leadership and vision, and also like to call out the wonderful CSR team from City, led by Shaheen, Padmaja, who's been a big sponsor of this project. And thank you, everybody, for giving us this opportunity to be associated with something which is as magnificent. Just on a small note, I miss the Chief Secretary, Govind Mohan, who was going to be the chief guest, because we were together in business school, so he's a friend of mine. But please convey my thanks to him.
Thank you, Mr. Kuller. And like Vikas Kharge Saab said, this is all part of our decades-long work, and it will continue. The wait is nearly over. I know everybody's getting angsty. And we will see the exhibition shortly, but not before we soak in some music this gorgeous evening, with a view framing the museum's architecture. Jyoti Roy, our Assistant Director and the project's lead curator, please do help us express our appreciation and start us off into this musical journey.
Thank you, Renuka. Thank you, everyone on the stage. I'm not going to repeat the list. I think you all know each other by person. Just a couple of names who should be thanked. No exhibition is complete without someone visualizing it. The dynamic exhibition designer, Arun Das, assisted by Shirojit Das and Anirban Majumdar, deserve a huge round of applause. And the lighting designer, Dhruvajyoti Ghosh of LDP Design, Sydney, they're truly to be acknowledged for their creative acumen in dealing with an extremely challenging space and its constraints. Yogi Chopra of Can Communicate has passionately completed all the exhibition films. We also thank Star Worldwide for logistics, Golden International, Shiv Furniture, and Shresha Museum Solutions for the exhibition production. There are three very special people that we would like to thank, without who this project would have become rather difficult. Shri R.K. Mishra ji, who's amongst us, Additional Director General, Department of Foreign Trade, Mumbai, Shri Pramod Kumar Agarwal, Chief Commissioner of Customs, and Shiril Saroj, Commissioner of Customs Import. Thank you very much, sir, for all your help. We cannot end without thanking our trustees and, of course, our beloved chairman, Shri Eknath Shirsagar. Had he been here, he would have said, "Keep it up, guys." And thank you all for being with us, for showing your support. You are our extended CSMVS family. We will end our program today by celebrating India, her great capacity to absorb traditions and make them her own. Her strength are her syncretic traditions, which are beautifully captured in the couplets of the weaver and Sufi saint Kabir, presented to you today by the stalwart artist Mir Mukhtiar Ali and curated by Banyan Tree. Let us immerse in these beautiful compositions before we travel the world inside the gallery. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll request the dignitaries to step down to enjoy his mesmerizing voice. Mukhtiar Sahab.
कबीरा जब हम पैदा हुए, कबीरा जब हम पैदा हुए, ये जग हंसे हम रोए, जग हंसे हम रोए, कबीरा जब हम पैदा हुए, जग हंसे हम रोए, ऐसी ऐसी करनी कर चलो, हम हंसे जग रोए। कबीर ने कहा, कबीरा जब हम पैदा हुए, ये जग हंसे हम रोए, ऐसी करनी कर चलो, हम हंसे जग रोए। बच्चा जब पैदा होता है तो रोता है, लेकिन उसके परिवार के लोग बहुत खुश होते हैं। तो इसी पे कबीर ने एक भजन बनाया है, चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी, राम नाम रस भीनी चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी। हाँ रे चदरिया झीनी रे झीनी, चदरिया छीनी रे छीनी हरि राम नाम रस पीनी रे चदरिया छीनी रे छीनी हे राम नाम रस पीनी रे चदरिया छीनी रे अष्ट कमल दल चरखा चाले पांच तंत की पुनी रे चदरिया अष्ट कमल का चरखा चाले पांच तंत की पुनी रे चदरिया पांच तंत की पुनी नौ दस मास पुनन के चदरिया छीनी रे छीनी हरि राम नाम रस पीनी रे चदरिया छीनी रे जद मोरी चादर पर घर आई दुबियन के दर दीनी रे चदरिया जद मोरी चादर पर घर आई दुबियन के दर दीनी रे चदरिया दुबियन के दर दीनी ए सूरत शिला पर चादर धूप तैयार भई तब रंग रेजन को दीनी रे चदरिया चादर धूप तैयार भई जब रंग रेजन को दीनी रे चदरिया ये जी रंग रेजन को दीनी रे चदरिया रंग रेजन को ऐसा रंग रंगा रंग रहने ऐसा रंग रंगा रंग रहने रंगा रे रंग रहने रंगा रे रंग रहने रंगा रे रंग रंगा रंग रहने ऐसा रंग रंगा रंग रहने लालो लाल कर दीनी दीनी रे दीनी लालो लाल कर दी चदरिया छिनी रे छिनी राम राम रस दीनी रे चदरिया छिनी रे लास्ट में कबीर ने कहा है कि इस चादर शरीर रूपी चादर को कैसे ओढ़ा जाए। एग्जाम्पल है ध्रुव प्रहलाद सुदामा ने ओढ़ी वे सुख देने निर्मल कीनी ध्रुव प्रहलाद सुदामा ने ओढ़ी सुख देने निर्मल कीनी चदरिया सुख देने निर्मल कीनी चदरिया सुख देने निर्मल कीनी ए दास कबीर ने ऐसी आड़ी दास कबीर ने ऐसी आड़ी दास कबीर ऐसी दास कबीर ने दास कबीर ऐसी आड़ी अर्जू की क्यों धरती चदरिया झूकी क्यों धरती चदरिया जीनी रे जीनी राम राम रस पीनी रे चदरिया जीनी रे जीनी तेरी राम नाम रस पीनी रे चदरिया जीनी रे जीनी जीनी रे जीनी जीनी रे जीनी। तो इस प्रकार कबीर की चादर थी। और अभी कबीरा कुआं एक है कबीरा कुआं एक है और पानी भरे अनेक कबीरा कुआं एक है और पानी भरे अनेक भांडे ही में भेद है पानी सब में माला फेरत जगमुहा माला 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 फेरत जगमुहा और मिटा न मन का फेर माला फेरत जगमुहा और मिटा न मन का फेर कर का मन का डार दे तो मन का मन में दे ए भला हुआ मोरी भला हुआ रे मोरी माला टूटी भला हुआ रे मेरी माला टूटी रे भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी ए माला टूटी टूटी, हे माला टूटी, भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी रे, भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी, भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी, मेरा जपन से छूटी रे, मोरे सर से टली बला, ओ बला मोरे सर से टली बला, कबीरा भला हुआ कबीरा भला हुआ। माटी कहे कुम्हार से, माटी कहे कुम्हार से, और तू क्यों रूंदे मोय, माटी कहे कुम्हार से, और तू क्यों रूंदे मोय, माटी कहे कुम्हार से, तू क्यों रूंदे मोय कबीरा। एक दिन ऐसा आएगा रे, एक दिन ऐसा आएगा रे, एक दिन ऐसा आएगा रे, मैं रो दूंगी तो ये कबीरा, मैं रो दूंगी तो ये कबीरा, मैं रो दूंगी तो ये कबीरा, मैं रो दूंगी तो ये कबीरा। बुरा जो खोजन में गया, बुरा जो खोजन में गया, और बुरा न मिलिया को। कबीर ने कहा बुरा खोजन में गया और बुरा न मिलिया कोई, बुरा जो खोजन में गया और बुरा न मिलिया कोई, हे अंतर खोजा अपना रे, अंतर खोजा अपना रे, अंतर खोजा, अंतर खोजा अपना, मैं तो अंतर खोजा अपना रे, मुझसे बुरा न कोई कबीरा, मुझसे बुरा न कोई कबीरा, मुझसे बुरा न को, मोरे सर से टली बला, कबीरा सर से टली बला, कबीरा भला हुआ, भला हुआ, कबीरा भला हुआ, कबीरा भला हुआ, भला हुआ, कबीरा भला हुआ, कबीरा भला हुआ। समय की जी लास्ट का एक कर रहा हूं मैं। पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जगमुहा, पोथी पढ़ पढ़ जगमुहा, और पंडित भये न को, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम के बड़े सो पंडित, मन लगो मारो यार फकीरी मेरे, मन लगो मारो यार फकीरी मेरे, मन लगो मारो यार फकीरी, मन लगो यार फकीरी रे, मन लगो यार फकीरी मन लगो यार फकीरी में, मन लगो मारो यार फकीरी मेरे, मन लगो मारो यार फकीरी में। हाथ में सोटा बगल में तू भी, हाथ में सोटा बगल में तू भी, सोटा बगल में तू भी, हाथ में सोटा बगल में तू भी, जा सा जागीरी में मन लागो मारो यार फकीरी में मन लागो मारो यार फकीरी में भला बुरा सबका सुन लीजिए भला बुरा सबका सुन लीजिए भला बुरा भला बुरा सबका सुन लीजिए कर गुजरान गरीबी में कर गुजरान गरीबी में मन लागो मारो यार फकीरी में मन लागो मारो यार फकीरी में मन लागो मारो यार लागो मारो यार लागो मारो यार फकीरी में बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सभी का
Thank you, Mukhtiyar ji. Please accept a small token of our appreciation from the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya and all the people here today who've had the wonderful opportunity to hear you play and sing.